Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and welcome back to Valorant News. Lots to discuss today. Fracture has finally seen some competitive play over the last couple of days, but also SicK describing exactly what he thinks you should do in order to best prepare for warming up for games. Very much intrigued to your thoughts down below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really helps out the channel. Firstly, this from RunItBack_GG. 26 recorded maps of Fracture so far. We see that it hasn't quite come into the professional rotation yet, but some tournaments have been played with it. The most played composition, Breach, Jett, no surprise there, KO, KJ, and Viper, something like 26 times. Now, in the replies, you can see that these are the agent pick rates so far. Jett at 73%, that's becoming pretty much a standard at this point. Breach, then Viper, then Killjoy, Cypher, kind of makes sense at this point. Yoru Dano at 3.85%, so definitely some, the sample size is reasonable enough to see that you see like all of them getting picked at least some point or another. Omen down here at third to the bottom, so definitely some thoughts about exactly what could be best on this map, at least as the pros start playing it over the coming weeks and months. This I thought was interesting from Lothar because a lot of talk really from him the last couple of days. We'll look at right here. As a general thought, the Jett 70% plus pick rate will be a thing on every map soon, including Split and Bind. Dashing on side for executes is just straight up necessary. This won't change until Jett is available. I wonder what's going to be the plan for the devs to try and combat this right and take down Jett, because of course we've seen some of the changes they made the last week or so that well, are potentially getting reverted at some point. What will they replace them with? That of course remains to be seen. This of course we looked at from TenZ a couple of days ago, remove the classic right click. Some people are certainly not happy with it, well, the 3-round burst potential up close, how quickly it can kill. But Lothar isn't so convinced that actually removing it is a good idea, because it does create some balance in the pistol rounds, you could argue. There was a deep dive that went down on the Dignitas website right here, like looking at this tweet, and then running through what are the spreads when you're standing, when you're running, like when you're jumping, running and jumping, spread and this type of stuff to make sure it's, well, it's actually maybe reasonable in certain situations. And of course, if you get relatively lucky on the spread, it can be an absolute dominant force in close range. But Lothar says, look, if you actually heavily nerf that and get rid of the right click, then these are the situations you'll find yourself in. All ghost, like it'll pretty much be all ghost, and minimum util pistol rounds. In order to counter the ghost players, you start buying sheriffs, for example, for their body shots, even less util because you've got less money in the bank. So, you know, kind of interesting, right? That maybe the classic right click actually enables some reasonable balance within pistols at the present time. Eco rounds become non-threats in a best of 13, banned for the game, because I suppose Ecos without the classic right click, it's gonna be tough to do anything. So definitely an interesting discussion really here, and he kind of continues this right here and says it pretty much goes into more detail on some of the particular agents, right? An indirect buff by having an absolute bonkers signature free utility. If the classic gets significantly worse, of course, look, the classic does also have a left click, but I mean, still, the right click is definitely one of the more dominant and controversial things at the present time. But of course, it does mean that like if you do have to buy the ghost, then you've got less money for utility. Then a lot of the agents become significantly better with some of their free utility. Definitely an interesting discussion, and I mean, he reckons right now the pistol rounds are actually in a pretty damn good state. Maybe that of course is the case, but definitely you guys can debate on that one. This also from Lothar I thought was interesting because I mean, well, there was a glitch that was found effectively, what you could argue is a game-breaking bug, that if you hit the sage wall in just the right spot, you can actually break it with just running into it effectively. Now, it doesn't necessarily seem as yet to be a replicatable exploit or whatever, but in certain situations, if you kind of just walk into the wall in certain positions, then you can actually just straight up break it, as you can see Lothar manages to do right here. Like, he just kind of walks into it for a while and then gets it right with maybe like a slight bug or something that's going on. Obviously, there's some sort of bug here. Maybe there's a slight gap or something, and without even shooting it, you can walk through it. So maybe something that they're going to have to look into, and maybe it depends exactly what it's set up against in terms of like, you know, what's behind it, but maybe something that could be usable in competitive play. Tough to say, but still, if Lothar managed to find a way to do it, it could happen at some point, but yeah, he couldn't really replicate it too easily. But it's something that might be replicable at some point or another. I wanted to share this also from SicK, a pretty interesting clip that comes out where he's describing what he thinks is the best way to warm up for Valorant, because of course right now there's some talk about maybe not the best things that are in the title right now, but you know, you've got the range of course you could go into. He reckons deathmatch is still the way to go. It might not be great, but in terms of crosshair placement, it's definitely the best thing to do to warm up for the game.
So I think it's better for you to do deathmatch more so than the range. I think the range is good for warming up, but I think if you're say like late at night after you've played your games, I think deathmatch is better, just because you learn angles better, right? So like if you're deathmatching on, I don't know, even though I don't deathmatch on Fracture, like if you're deathmatching on Fracture and you're holding like different angles, you learn different headshot spots, cool, right? So like half this game is crosshair placement. So if you can learn the crosshair placement on the map, then you're golden.
Run a flash.
Just to finish off with this, speaking of pistols, updated impact of second half pistol rounds given at different halftime scores. Pretty interesting stuff. If you're already winning 9-3 and then you win the pistol, it's a 96% chance of winning the entire thing. So it kind of makes sense really here, but even if you're 5-7 down, you win the pistol, like yeah, over 50% of the time you're actually going to win the entire thing. So definitely makes sense, honestly, looking at these statistics, but pretty interesting nonetheless to see that, yes, the second half pistol, given it is so close at the end of the game a lot of the time, is a very big deal indeed. Losing versus winning the round 13 pistol round, for example, is well, a pretty significant versus loss versus win, especially in the middle of the park. If the halftime score is 6-6 and you win the pistol 75% of the time, you win the entire thing. That is a pretty monster statistic, to be honest, at least based on all the LTQs, Masters Berlin, and the Stage 3 Challenger playoffs. But very much intrigued to get your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube icon, and I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Valorant community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
One wins, two.
Soltada en A. Queda un enemigo.
Nice.
Did it! Holy crap!
Is it left side or right side?
I was just like in the middle and I was just like pushing in with one direction, with just the W, like into it. And I was just doing like left, right. Like I wasn't standing in one position, I think. I was just doing something like this. But I think it has to be next to a wall.
Yeah, might be. I killed Omen next to the wall.
Barrier here.
Very close.